joined as a Deputy CFO, then got promoted as a CFO, and then the CFO for India, representing India.
Being elected as the interim CEO during a very critical time must have been both a challenge and an opportunity.
Unique value, just not on the strategic front, but also on the social governance part.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by the Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm Priya George, and today we have the privilege of speaking with an extraordinary finance professional who has dedicated over 23 years to mastering the complexities of finance and regulatory reporting. Currently serving as the Chief Financial Officer at Société Générale Bank in India, she has consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership and strategic vision in the financial services sector. It is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Mona Rikhil Shah. Mrs. Shah, welcome to the podcast and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Priya. Thanks a lot. It's really, first of all, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for such a warm welcome. I'm truly, it's truly an honor to be a part of leadership series. And I really look forward for our conversation ahead and also giving this opportunity to really contribute to such an impactful platform. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all ours to host you, and I'm looking forward to a very insightful conversation. So let's get straight to it. Mrs. Shah, it's incredible to think about your 2-decade journey in finance, especially in such a dynamic field that has evolved significantly over the years. So let's take a step back. What first inspired you to pursue a career in finance, and how did your first role set the stage for your path to becoming CFO at Société Générale? What were the key milestones along the way that you believe shaped your career?
So if I have to really start with, I'll have to go to old school days. I have a very fond memory. Like in the school, I was a very weak child, means in other subjects other than maths. So the maths was the only subject which I used to like and keep on continuously doing. And I got full support from my parents, especially my dad, who really guided me that if you are so keen on a subject, why don't you look at a career in which you can use these subjects? And that's how I decided to pursue my BCom. Those days, people doing BCom really look at CA as one of the degree, though it was very tough those days. And that's how I started with my BCom simultaneously with a foundation exam, because those days foundation exam was able to be done along with your BCom persuasion. So I started with my foundation to see how better I scored. And the first milestone which I achieved was a All India rank in my foundation exam. This milestone really boosts my confidence, and I believe that this is a right path for me and my career which I have chosen. And that's how my CA journey started, and I achieved the degree finally in 1999. After doing that as a profession, everyone, that days wanted to be part of an esteemed organization, especially Big Fours. And that's how I joined Deloitte Haskins and Sells. And my professional journey started. I actually started with a statutory audit team, and the partners there were Mr. Maligam, Mr. Pilgaonkar, Mr. Ramesh, who are actually a big leaders in the finance stream. And during my audit phase of 8 years in Deloitte, it gives me exposure with various industries like manufacturing, banking, mutual
Right.
fund, broking, and that's how Deloitte journey was very crucial to shape my journey as a finance profession. After reaching a age, everyone looks at much better work-life balance, and that's how
Correct.
I really moved from a big four to a corporate life. And I joined again and very good esteemed organization is a France-based group which is known as Société Générale, and I joined their broking entity as a finance head. That was another different journey of in corporate
Right.
life, and I started with finance head. The group really gave me a lot of opportunities, and that's how I built from finance head to the CFO of the broking. Then I got an opportunity to join the bank branch team. I joined as a deputy CFO, then got promoted as a CFO, and then the CFO for India, representing India to the management in Hong Kong as well as India
Right.
CEO. So during this course of Société Générale, again, my professional career really built up because I came to an exco position, worked very closely with the management, looking and working towards strategic goals as well as corporate governance standards. So that's how the journey has been so far. Recently, I started looking now what. So it came to my mind now I should do something for the society and my rich experience should contribute something to the country. And recently in December 24, I left SocGen and I've just joined an organization known as CFO Centre. They are into CFO advisory services for medium scale and startups. So probably helping medium scale and startups, which are the key growing sectors of our economy and the country, as a CFO, and my rich experience may help me to give something back to the country. So that's how this new career have just begun with.
Right. Right. Thank you for sharing that, Mrs. Shah. It's always inspiring to hear how a passion can turn into a successful career. And your journey really emphasizes the importances of those early experiences that you shared with us. And being elected as the interim CEO during a very critical time must have been both a challenge and an opportunity. Could you share what key challenges you faced during that period and what insights you gained from that experience that have influenced your career ever since?
Yeah, actually, when I joined Société Générale Group, at that moment, the group was undertaking a big project. It was actually consolidating a lot of entities across the countries. That was more to get businesses under one umbrella and, to optimize the overall structure of the group. And
Right.
India is always one of the important country, as we all know. So in India, they wanted to consolidate two business arms which were doing a similar business. And that's how there was a merger plan of two entities. One of the entity where I was heading the finance role. During this phase, as we all know, any mergers and acquisition, there is always uncertainty of the team who will survive in this complex environment. And in the consolidated entity, our CEO suddenly decided to move his career ahead before the merger, and he has suddenly taken a leave. Um, as we all know that in finance there is gardening leave, so he suddenly one day he decides the next day you don't have a CEO of the entity.
Wow.
We had a management team really coming from Hong Kong, and they were supposed to do an announcement of how the structure would work till the merger is accomplished and the CEO of the other entity really becomes the CEO. That's where
Correct.
they announced my name. For that moment, it was like a shock. I was totally lost for half an hour, 1 hour. I was not really knowing what did they really tell, but within that 1 hour, I thought, no, this is an opportunity because management has shown such a big trust and on me. Uh, Even though I was the youngest in the whole lot of the exco members. So that's how that period began. Initially, few days were really nightmare because, exco members had many people who were much more experienced than me. So it was very difficult for them to accept me in that position. But, I really worked as a team, coordinated well rather than imposing a position. Um, worked with them as a colleague and the team, and as a team we were able to run this phase of a merger and complete the phase successfully. I would say the biggest opportunity which really happened in this phase is this phase really helped me, or there was continuous interaction with so many different levels of management, be it in Hong Kong, Paris, the CEO of other country, the CEO of India. This really gave me a lot of outlook on how management thinks, what are they, how they drive the strategic decision, what are their requirements. This evolved my position from an operational finance head to a strategic thought process, and that's where I feel management got a trust that I am ready to really take up greater responsibility, and that's how my role evolved in the organization as in CFO. So I would say this was the biggest opportunity, which really shaped my professional career and really helped me to grow within the group.
Right. That is an incredible and insightful reflection, Mrs. Shah. And it's inspiring to see how you turn challenges into growth opportunities. So, thank you for sharing that part of your professional journey with us. Um, you've navigated through various roles, you've implemented significant improvements in financial controls. Could you share some of the specific initiatives you introduced during your tenure? What were the measurable outcomes, and how did they contribute to the overall success of your organization?
So overall, like almost 23, 24 years of being in the finance career, I had really worked with various initiatives and various projects, which were really the strategic projects, and also for the business expansion of whatever entity I belong to. But
Right.
just to name the few, first to start with Deloitte, since we were part of the stat audit teams. Initially, we worked with a lot of entities who were in the growing phase. As part of audit team, we really helped them to identify their internal control weaknesses, help them to strengthen that, also help them to build up the right procedures and the policies, which gives a stronger corporate governance. This were
Right.
all eventually leading to a sustainable growth of the organization we audited through. Um, as part of Society General, there are various critical projects. If I have to name few, first one was when I joined the group, the finance team was not at all stable. So the
Okay.
first milestone for me was building up a proper finance team, getting in the people of the right experience and the knowledge. So that was the first thing, which not only gave a better stable finance platform and the data to the management, but also gave a proper growth path, having a right people in the right place. Second, we worked on the mutualization of the activities between various entities in India, especially mutualizing the common arms such as taxation, management reporting. This not only brings in the cost effectiveness, but it also increases operational efficiency. And there is a common best practice working across
Agreed.
all the entities when you really mutualize, and management is able to see the consolidated data for India in
Right.
much better and synchronized format. Another important projects which I worked as strategic CFO is that every business really needs funding, to grow and expand. Capital is definitely one part of it, but only capital doesn't work. We need external funds, and the financial sectors are bounded by a lot of regulatory framework. So I worked on the project closely with compliance business to identify the funding solutions which were really critical for the growth of the organization after a level when the capital uses was optimized. So we really identified two different solutions for both broking and the banking branch. uh, Further, I worked on the liquidation of the entities which were really not required for the group. Liquidation, again, in India is really, really very difficult, especially we have to close all the tax assessments and all. So that was another big achievement where we, narrowed all the entities which were not required and closed them all. Um, Merger of businesses was another one, and again recently before leaving the branch we worked on an opening of new branch. As you all are aware, gift city, which is one of our prime minister's thing, we are opening a new branch there, so that was another big project which we worked on to get the regulatory approvals and setting the branch. So yeah, these are the few ones if I have to name the bigger ones.
Right. Thanks for those insights, Mrs. Shah. Your initiatives clearly made a significant impact on your organizations. Uh, with your extensive experience in tax compliance and regulatory reporting, how do you think the growing emphasis on corporate governance will influence business practices? You have mentioned a couple of points in your previous responses and emphasized on the importance of a very strong corporate governance practice. Uh, However, if you could shed a little more light as to what changes do you anticipate and how can organizations effectively adapt to these new standards?
So, I, as an experience in tax reporting and compliances, I definitely feel that there is a lot of impact of this new standard on corporate governances. Like all the stakeholders, whether it be investors, regulators, shareholders, everyone are now asking for more transparency, right, and accountability. So the businesses will be under tremendous pressure to really align all their operational activities along with their long-term strategic goal and incorporate the corporate governance as part of this whole framework. There are few things which businesses need to really do. I feel first is to build up a stringent internal control systems.
Right.
The internal control systems will help them to really identify and build in the corporate governance goal in such a fashion that the risks are mitigated, and this will bring in more transparency, and this will also lead to a long term sustainable growth of an organization. The second beat is integration of the technology in the whole framework, because now since there is a lot of information which is called for on ESG initiative, tax reporting
Right.
strategies, financial performances, it's better to have a right integration of technology which will give a reliable data information and also build a trust of the stakeholders of an organization. Third is
Right.
to adopt this new standards. What is required is to have a strong culture which has to be built in the organization from top to down. Each of the employees to the board members to the shareholders to the management all should be clearly having a visibility on the strategic goals and the ESG initiative which the companies are looking at, and the impacts which the organization is bringing on the society. And this can be done with well training of employees, board members and all. I feel overall, all put together, this will help an organization to build a proper sustainable growth model.
Right. Right. Um, Thank you for your response, and your expertise in tax compliance really highlights the link between ESG and corporate governance as well. Um, as you consider your future contributions to boardrooms, how do you think your extensive experience in financial compliance will shape the unique perspectives you bring to the table, considering that you have navigated an impressive journey through the world of finance, and you've surely gained a wealth of knowledge and insights along the way. So could you share your future, aspirations for yourself?
Yes, so now as I'm looking to contribute to the boardrooms, I feel that I can bring an unique value, just not on the strategic front, but also on the social governance part.
Right.
Since I've worked across various industries, I have really a deep understanding of the financial strategies as well as regulatory adherence, and I also know the importance of the role which they play in the growth of an organization and meeting the long term objectives of any organization.
Hmm.
Since now there is a lot of focus on ESG and corporate governance in the boardroom, I feel that anyone would be looking for a person who has a really strong background of financial compliances and the governance so that it can be well integrated along with corporate governance to give a
Hmm.
better sustainable decision making process to an organization to have and build in a lot of success. um, in this financial career, I feel I've got that eye which can help the organization to really do an analysis of their risk,
Hmm.
identify the areas of the process improvements, and also give a better decision making process with a better understanding of the data sets and take an uniform decision to achieve the success and the long term objectives of an organization. So I feel uh, that finance is no longer just compliance, it's much more broader than just doing the compliance with the legal requirements. It's
So
also more grounded with the governance. So I feel I can bring a lot of value to the boards going forward, and I'm looking for such opportunities.
absolutely. And with your experience and your vision, it's fascinating to hear how you will contribute to boardroom discussions. Before we end our very invigorating conversation today, we cannot let you go without answering our last question, which is that with all the experiences that you've shared, we are curious to know how has your experience with Directors Institute shaped your understanding of corporate governance and its practical applications. So could you share, a few of your insights? Yes.
So I would say the experience with the Directors Institute was really very enriching. The Directors Institute course really made us understand that the governance is just not the compliance, but it's much more than that. And it really leads to how the organization culture and integrities evolved over the point of time. The platform really gave me an opportunity to interact with industry leaders and experts, go through the best practices. And, by looking at that, you evolve at a better professional overall and shape into a better board member. So that is a unique experience of speaking to some visionary leaders and the experts. It also taught and gave a better idea that the governance is all about balancing between risk management, the ethical leadership, and the stakeholder management. This was much more broader than what we thought before we really went into this course. So I would say it really shaped me much better as a board member and made me learn that the governance is much more than just a legal compliance, and overall to understand how does it impact the overall organization culture and what
Mm.
we can do to develop and have a sustainable organization which can have just not a long-term strategic goals but also the trust of the stakeholders overall. So I would say it was really amazing to go through this course, and I'm really really thankful to the institute.
We are glad to hear that the Directors Institute, which is a great platform to network and brainstorm and hear multiple perspectives, is being such a catalyst and has positively influenced your approach to corporate governance and further your career as well. Mrs. Shah, I sincerely thank you for sharing your insights today. Your extensive experience in finance and your vision for corporate governance really illuminate the path forward for many aspiring professionals. And it's clear that your journey and the lessons you've imparted during our discussion today will resonate deeply with all of us who are looking to make their mark in the industry. So thank you once again for joining us on FaceTime with Leaders, Mrs. Shah.
Thank you so much, Priya, and I would thank you, the Directors Institute, also. Thank you so much for this wonderful time. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We eagerly anticipate bringing you more inspiring stories and wisdom from exceptional leaders in our upcoming sessions. Until then, to all our listeners, continue to innovate and embrace the challenges that lead to growth. Thank you and take care.